Are we good to go? Thank you. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Today's August 12th, 2024. Call the meeting to order. Confirmation of a quorum. We have a quorum? Okay, moving on. Let's please pledge, let's execute the Pledge of Allegiance to our U.S. flag, our Texas flag. Then we'll have a moment of silence. Thank you. We'll recognize a moment of silence, please. Thank you. We have anything on the workshop or public hearings? Marilyn, we don't have anything. Any public comments? Are we set up for public comments today?
No public comments, sir.
Okay, we'll move on to consent agenda items. I do want to let the board know and the audience know that we have 10 items for consent. This is the time if you would like to take an item out of consent to discuss or to review a little bit later. If not, I'll entertain motions.
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion by Dr. Holman to approve the consent agenda items.
I'll second that.
Second, Mr. Martinez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This item passes unanimously. We're going to move on to items for individual consideration. We'll ask Ms. Gilbert to start off with the general manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. On your calendar, you'll see the individual consideration item number 1. You have the monthly scheduled meetings. I won't go into details with all of the meetings. If you have any questions or comments or you have a conflict, please let us know to ensure that we have confirmation of the quorum for any of those meetings. I do want to note that we have our annual PubCap dinner on August 21st. So if you all let us know if you plan to attend so we can do a posting for a potential quorum if we have more than 4 members or 3 members attending in a quorum. In addition, I've included in your packets some events that are coming up in October, and if anyone is interested in attending, please let us know. We have the Coalition of the Rio Grande Water Users 2024 Inaugural Conference, and the agenda is included, as well as the APPA Legal and Regulatory Conference as well on there. So send us an email on that. Any questions, our board calendar, or anything else that we need to discuss at this time?
Any questions by any board members?
Okay.
Okay.
Next item is industry and PEB updates. Thank you all board members that attended the APPA PCN conference. Dr. Daisy Zamora is on one of our members representatives, and Dr. Holman also attended in reference to some of the other issues that we had. We also had the industry updates, our annual TPPA conference. And so these are two very most important conference for us to be involved in the associations, because this is what our industry is all about and various different regulatory environment that we're facing at this time. Any questions on that?
Any questions on that item? Okay, if not, one more.
No questions.
Okay. So moving on, we did receive the TPPA System Award Achievement, and in your packet, you'll see a picture of one of the our own, which is our digital platforms manager, Miguel Collins, who received on behalf of TPPA the award. Next to him is our CEO for the Texas Public Power Association, Taylor Kilroy, on the left, and on the right, the president of the Association of Board, Mike Wheeler. He's also the CEO for Kerrville PUB. So congratulations to the staff and, for the System Achievement Award, and it's very important. Maybe we can give Miguel and his staff the round of applause.
I just want to jump in and say I thought it was a really cool idea when it happened, and the fact that it won an award just demonstrates it wasn't just my craziness. So this is really awesome. Congratulations.
Okay. The next thing that I have here for everybody's awareness is we had a 2024 internship. We had 9 interns throughout the organization. On later on this week, we'll have presentations made to management and those interns that are noted there. It's very important. It was a 12-week full-time work experience to enhance the career readiness. And I think that it is a very well-received program. Some of the interns have become permanent employees, and it's also good for them to go back and share what they've learned, potentially when they launch their career. So with that, I just wanted to inform the board. And that's all I have right now, unless there's any other questions.
Marilyn, on the internship, any commitments for future employment?
Potentially, they're available. We had some in engineering, some in communications, some in systems, and
I'm assuming they're the young folks sitting right here. Can we have y'all stand up?
To the intern?
How do you know? Yeah, thank you for joining us and a round of applause.
okay. And with that,
Okay, the next item will be consideration action on items pulled out of consent. Of course, we don't have any. So we'll move on to staff reports and presentations to the board. The first one by Mr. Pettis on the financial report.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Mike Pettis, Chief Financial Officer, and I'll be presenting the financial performance report for PUB as of June 30th, 2024. So here we've got the executive summary that focuses on 7 categories. Each has their own gauge meter, red representing poor, yellow average, and green good. So as far as our flow of funds, we did generate $11.47 million to fund the capital improvement projects. Our debt service coverage is at 2.69 times, which is well above the 1.25 times minimum requirement. So we did good. The fuel purchase and energy charge has generated an over recovery of $6.57 million as of June 30th. And this, of course, will be used to offset some future market uncertainty. On the COB cash transfer, adjusted gross revenues were higher than budgeted. They actually came in about $940,000 above budget. So this is great news for the city of Brownsville. On the expense side, personal expenses are in line with budget, while our non-personal expenses came in lower than budgeted, primarily due to some timing issues and some savings on expenses on our end. Now, as far as the timing issues go, it's I've stated before, we normally close our books on a monthly basis around the 10th. So that we can start generating financial statements and then do some quality reviews before we present to the board. And so any invoices, vendor invoices that come in after the 10th, of course, are going to get captured the following month. And so we've got a timing issue there, and that's why the non-personnel expenses were down like $6.3 million on the budget. BPUB's average bill, it's higher than the average MOU bill, but significantly lower than the average IO bill. And so we see progress here at average. Our CIP spending, we continue to lag behind where we need to be. We spent $26 million year to date, representing 28.34% of the fiscal year 24 approved plan. And we'll get into some more details at a subsequent slide. And we are currently in compliance with all of our financial metrics. Moving on, here we have a condensed statement of revenue, expenses, and changes in net positions. This is presented in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles. This is the same statements that we see in the annual comprehensive financial report. Here we present year-to-date June 2024 compared to the same period last year. And so line 1 operating revenues year-to-date were $170,753,000. This was $3.6 million below last year's level. Our year-to-date sales actually increased $12.7 million, But what's bringing down this balance is the fact that the board went ahead and authorized $9.4 million use of the additional rate stabilization funds to pay down the customer's production cost in November and December. Continuing here, we've got operating expenses of $150,681,000. These were $11.3 million above last year's level. And these are primarily due to the increased personnel costs due to the compensation study. We arrived at operating income, line 3, at $20,071,573. The line 4, non-operating expenses were $11,137,000. These were about $33.4 million below last year's level. And as stated before, the majority of this is because back in May of 2023 is when we issued out the Tenasco Equity Fund distribution of $31.4 million. And so that's the major difference there. We arrive at line 5, income before capital contributions of $8,934,000. We add in capital contributions year to date of $8,769,000, and we end up with an increase in net position of $17,704,000. Adding this to the net position at the beginning of the fiscal year, we end up with net position at the end of the period of $470,313,000. Here we have the summary of expenses on the flow of funds basis that's in conformance with the bond ordinance. We compare year-to-date actuals with the year-to-date budget. So operating revenues of $171,898,000 were $6.6 million under last year's level. Now, this particular line item here does include both base rates and the fuel rate. And so as far as the base rate revenues, we did see an increase of $4.5 million above budget. And while the fuel and the off-system sales decreased by about $11.1 million. Other revenues year to date, $20,560,000. Those were $4.5 million more than budgeted. And they primarily represent some additional ancillary services that were generated through the ERCOT market and some increased interest earnings. So we arrive at line 3, gross revenues of $192,458,000. Backing out the fuel and SRWA expenses of $64,916,000, we arrive at adjusted gross revenues of $127,542,000. This is the basis for the city's 10% transfer calculation. So the city is entitled to $12,754,000. Once we back out other requirements for O&M, non-operating debt service of $91,251,000. And we also back out the City of Brownsville's usage of $4,604,000. And we arrive at that balance available after requirements, line 7, at $31,686,000. Once we back out the cash transfer to the city, net of their usage of $8,149,000, we arrive at a balance available for transfers out or PUB uses of $23,536,000. That $23 million were then used to fund $12,067,000 in our budgeted CIP, leaving a balance of $11,468,000 to replenish our improvement fund. As stated before, Section 14 of the bond ordinance dictates the priorities of how we expend our revenue. The last and final priority is the replenishment into the capital improvement fund. And so this is referred to as a closed loop system. So the money invested in the capital improvement fund is used to cash fund our CIP. So it's invested right back into our system, into our utility system. Now that $11.5 million replenishment is made up of a combination of additional sales, as we just reported, and the timing difference in the expense that we're seeing. Here we've got a budget to actual comparison of our personal O&M expenses. They're pretty much in line, current year, in line with budget. So no significant changes here. Here we've got the budget to actual comparison for the non-personal for the current year and the previous 5 years. Here's where we see a $6.3 million decrease from budget, and mainly due to the timing issue that was just discussed. Sure.
Can you say it again?
This one?
The 6 million?
Yes, so the O and M expenses year to date at 28.38 are 6.3 million under budget. And the big difference here is the, on the timing of the expense recognition, as I explained just a while ago. Any specific questions that you have? Oh, we're okay to move? Okay. Wow. Okay, so here we got the City of Brownsville transfer, summary. As mentioned, the 12.75 million actuals year to date are about 940,000 above budget and about 980 above last year's level. So great news for PUB, we're generating more revenues and then the city's sharing more revenue as well. So here we've got the average electric bill and the fuel and purchase energy charge. The average residential electric bill for PUB right now stands at $139.48 for the 1,000 kWh user. This is significantly below the IOU average and a little bit above the MOU average. The fuel purchase energy charge rate that was set for June was at 7.8 cents, and it did generate about 6.57 balance in our fuel account. I do want to say that in August, the Risk Oversight Committee did lower the FPEC rate down to a 6.27 cents, which brings the average bill from 139 down to $123.80. So it's a 20% drop on the rate itself and about a 12% drop in the average bill. So great news for our customers.
Quick question on the dashboard you had in the very front. I mean, you can stay on this slide, but that would put us in the green if PUB is,
Well, if we were closer to the MOU average. And so dropping it now in August to 123.80, I would say that we're there.
okay.
We're in line
So
with
the
some of the
lower,
MOUs.
essentially the lower the bill for the customer, the more will be in the green.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we've got our capital improvement plan. As mentioned earlier, our approved plan for fiscal year 24 is at $91.7 million, of which we've only spent $26 million, 9 months in, representing about 28.34%, when we should be closer to about 75%. Below, we've got the capital spending 5-year history. The most that we spent in our CIP it was back in 2019 at $38 million, representing about 46.7%. And so here again, as reported back in May of 2024, some of the items that are impacting the low completion percentage are the long lead times on materials and equipment. As seen here in the chart for the on line 3, the heavy equipment and vehicles, there's $2.9 million projected balance at June 30th. Those are vehicles and equipment that were ordered a long time ago. We've encumbered the funds, but we haven't yet expensed the funds because we haven't received delivery of the equipment. But so that's an issue that doesn't really show the progress being made here in the CIP plan. One of the biggest factor that we're seeing is the lack of resources, both internal and external. We're seeing that there's a lot of high construction in the city of Brownsville, a lot of it at the Port of Brownsville and then with PASEX. And so that limits our resources for contractors, right? So we've also seen some delays in receiving some of the invoices from the city of Brownsville for some of that utility adjustments. What we've realized is that the process the city is following is that they won't issue us an invoice until the particular project is complete, right? And that could take up to a year. And so we don't see an invoice. And so we have added this as a topic to the next technical meeting that we have scheduled with the city. We do hold those meetings on a monthly basis. And so we'll be discussing with them to see if they can adjust their process so they can start billing us more timely. That'll help us on our side to show more progress, and it'll help the city as far as cash flow is concerned. And of course, we do have the multiple projects that are dependent on timelines for the city of Brownsville for their projects and for TxDOT. And they're facing the same concerns or issues that we're facing, right? With the lack of resources and supply chain issues. So now we have initiated a plan to mitigate these obstacles. Um, Our CIP projects are managed by numerous project managers across all departments, relying on Excel worksheets to store and keep track of the project documentation. Project status and performance tracking using outdated approach is inefficient and makes it difficult to draw meaningful project insights necessary to know how well projects are being managed and to keep projects moving forward in a timely and effective way. Currently, industry approaches to managing large CIP budgets involve the use of specialized software that is designed to efficiently draw project insights in the real time and allow the project status and performance visibility at all levels of the organization. So earlier tonight, under consent, the board did approve the implementation of a capital improvement planning and project management software. The use of software, it's going to take some time to implement, but it will definitely help with the project management. And so I do ask that you bear with us. We will be providing more detail on the fiscal year 2025 CIP budget at next week at the one-on-one briefings that we hold with the board. And so there'll be a lot more information then. So moving on, here we have the key financial matrix.
One question.
Yes.
Is there a target for the amount of money that gets transferred to the CIP every year?
Not a specific target. We've been averaging close to $10 million a year. This time around, fiscal year 25, I think we budgeted a significantly higher amount, close to 19 million, if I'm not mistaken. It's just a matter of how much funds are available after all the expense buckets. And so
So you expect to have 19 million at the end of this fiscal year?
we budgeted, I go back to, as of June 30th, we had $12 million. So that's about $4 million a quarter. So that we budgeted about 16 million per year.
It doesn't show there as budget though.
Well, this is just showing year-to-date budget through June 30th. So if you look there in line 10, the transfers out for CIP, $12 million.
Okay.
That's through June, 9 months. So at 12 months, we budgeted $16 million, in other words, for fiscal year 24. And we're going to be closer to 19 million in fiscal year 2025. So it's just a matter of how much is remaining after all the uses. And then once we maintain that debt service coverage above the 1.25 times, right, that flows into this particular line item. We also have some other allowable uses that we can flow the money into, like the rate stabilization fund. Or in this case, this year, it's mentioned at the finance committee meeting that we are setting up a reserve for decommissioning of our plants in the future. It's evident that our plants are old. And so there's going to be a time where we do need to decommission some. So we're starting to reserve some funding for that, so we can accumulate some funds in 8-10 years when it need be. Does that answer your question? I mean, it's just a matter of.
Thank you.
So yes, so here we have our key financial metrics. Our debt service coverage ratio, as mentioned, was actual through June was at 2.69 times. Well above the bond requirement of 1.25 times. Our outstanding debt is at $272,035,000 with an annual debt service of $28.9 million. Our debt to capitalization ratio for 24 year to date is at 40% compared to a municipal utility minimum of 38%. And so this debt to capitalization ratio indicates that BPB's capital structure consists of 40% debt. So it's also an indicator of how much debt capacity or borrowings for future needs BPB has. And those, as mentioned before, those should range around, that capacity should be around 130 million to about $150 million. Here we have some customer receivable metrics. So total accounts receivable balance as of June 30th was $19,528,000, of which the majority, 98.7%, is within 30 days. So that's a very good metric. In the bottom, we've got the utility assistance year to date was 1,121,000. This is significantly below last year's level. As stated before, the Community Action Corporation of South Texas, which is the nonprofit that provides its utility assistance to our customers, had their federal funding dropped by 50%. Last year's funding level was at 4 million and it dropped to 2 million this year. And so one of the things that we did this year, PPB did partner with the Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley to assist us in distributing funds in our share program. We did have funds in the share in excess of $1 million. And so that'll alleviate some of the burden on our customers. And then the next, we've got the average customer receivable collection period. So year to date, we're at about 19.11 days, which is significantly good sign that we're converting those receivables or collecting within less than 30 days.
Congrats on that.
Yes. And so this concludes our financial performance presentation. There is a lot of other additional information that was provided in your packet for your review. I'll be glad to answer any questions at this time.
All right, very good presentation, Mr. Pettis. Any comments from any of the board members? Anything they'd like to add?
Last question. So for this, the table at the top, the past due 90 days, those are residential accounts, right?
This is all accounts, residential and commercial. So those past 90 days, I mean, the majority would be residential accounts, yes.
Thank you.
Any comments?
Any other?
Mike, I don't think, I think it's important for the public to know that y'all don't receive enough credit for the work that y'all are doing to keep PB financially healthy, to withstand audits, external audits and so forth. I've been listening to it for the last 3 years and so it's congratulations to you and Monica, the staff, for the work that you guys do to keep the utility above board and operating in a positive way.
Thank you. We're very proud of our team that we have. And I am glad to say that we haven't had any management letter comments in the last 18 years from our auditors.
Thank you. Was
I
there an
know
award
Mr. Holman was to mention.
recently? Yes, that was
Another award, yes, go on.
yes. Tell us about your new award.
The new award. We received a distinguished certificate of achievement for our budget presentation from the GFOA. This year with an emphasis of a very good capital improvement plan. So this is the first year we've had that additional recognition there. So it just sets the bar a little higher. Make sure that we get there next year again.
Congratulations. Now, how many years have you received the award?
For the budget, it's been 17 years, I believe. And for our act for 18 years.
Can we have a structural engineer check out Mike's shelf just to make sure no collapse happens?
No collapse happens, right?
Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work, Mike.
Will.
Congratulations. All right, so that was a presentation by Mr. Pettis. We'll listen to a quarterly investment report by Mr. Santillan.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Jorge Santillan, Treasurer and Accounting Manager. This is the quarterly investment report for the quarter ending June 30th, 2024. This report complies with the Public Funds Investment Act, and all investment transactions made during this quarter were in full compliance with the Act and the BPUB investment policy. On this page, we're going to be looking at the investment by asset class. We're going to be looking at the third column, the market value, the percentage portfolio, which is the third to the last, the yield to maturity, second to the last, and the last column, I'm sorry, only up to the yield to maturity. Beginning with bank deposit at Wells Fargo, the total market value at the end of the quarter, $26,925,745.48. This represented 12.40% as a percentage of the portfolio. The yield to maturity, 4.80%. Next, we have the certificates of deposits with a market value of $8,451,000. 3.89, that's the percentage of portfolio. The yield to maturity, 5.48. Next, we have the investment pools with a market value of 152,186,038.83, representing 70.07 of the portfolio. The yield to maturity of 5.39. Then we have the U.S. Treasury notes with a market value of 29,603,440, 13.64 as a percentage of portfolio, and the yield to maturity 5.19. The total market value, 217,166,224.31. The yield to maturity at the end of the quarter, 5.29. That's 4 basis points below the previous quarter, which we ended at 5.33. This line graph compares PPUB's net yield to the S&P Pool Index and the 91 T-bill index, which is our benchmark. The BPUB line is shown in blue. At the end of the quarter, we ended at 5.29%. That is 1 basis point below the S&P Pool Index shown in red, and 5 basis points over the 91-day T-bill, which is shown in green. Here we have the detailed distribution by asset class. And here we're just going to go over the last column, go over the range of yields at the end of the quarter. For bank deposits, lines 1, 2, and 3, the yield to maturity was 1.65 in our checking account and 5.20 in our investment accounts. Lines 4 through 40, certificates of deposit. The yield ranged from 5.25% to 5.77. Investment pools, lines 41 to 54. The yield to maturity ranged from 5.14 to 5.67. And then the lines 55 to 58, the U.S. Treasury notes, the yield to maturity ranging from 5.04 to 5.37. Again, the yield to maturity at the end of the quarter, 5.29. And this is the rest of the pages. Those are supplementary information. Any questions?
Any
Thank you.
questions? Samora?
No, I'm good.
Are you sure?
Another award-winning activity right here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, Mr. Santillan, for that presentation. Thank you. Now we'll have a drought update by Mr. Mariscal.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Rene Mariscal, Division Manager for Water Resources, Conservation, and Compliance. Quick update, U.S. combined ownership at Amistad and Falcon on August 3rd stood at 19.8. Looking at the comparison to the last, for July, it was actually fairly steady, which is a good thing, although we continue to remain at record lows at the reservoirs. But you'll see the last 3 readings there, it was an uptick there in July and then here again back in August 3rd. So levels are, let's say, remain steady. I want to make sure that we don't, lower our guard. It's still record lows at reservoirs. That's all I have. Any questions?
Yeah, I was hoping to see our water usage. I think we talked about this last month, but just, see how we're doing and trending.
System-wide water usage.
Or specifically how we're managing our water usage at PUB.
Okay.
And Renee, I guess I don't have to tell you or the public or the board members that this has become a really hot topic within the community. I know there was an article in the newspaper yesterday about future water opportunities. So keep up the good work and thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Also, the water level's 19.55% as of today. Just
Verification. Thank you, Dr. Holman, for that.
Mr. Chairman, just to make sure for clarity, would you like for us to report out at the next board meeting, or would you want to receive the information via email sent to you, BCC to all?
let's start with just what it looks like and then we can decide after that.
Okay, will do.
Okay, our next item, consideration and possible action of a resolution authorizing Brownsville Public Utilities Board application submission to the Texas Department of Agriculture to solicit state funding for the Colonia Vaxilis Salvador Central Estates Wastewater Improvements Project. Ms. Marie Leon is going to present on this. Hello, Ms. Leon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Marie Leal, and I am the Director of Water Wastewater Engineering and Capital Projects. The BPB staff seeks authorization to submit a grant application to the Texas Department of Agriculture, Texas Community Development Block Grant for the 2024 Colonia Fund Construction Program. The maximum grant award is up to $1 million, and the grant funding will be used for the Colonia Praxedis Saldivar and Central Estates Wastewater Improvement Project that will decommission existing residential septic tanks. They will also provide first-time access to sanitary sewer systems, utilities for approximately 235 to 300 residents. The estimated project cost is $2.6 million for the installation of 8 and 10-inch PVC sewer lines, yard line connections, permits, inspections, engineering, surveying services, and other related expenses. If selected, BPB will provide matching funds of up to $1.6 million, which will be allocated from the BPB Capital Improvement Fund. Cameron County is the lead applicant for this grant, and this past July 2nd, 2024, the Cameron County Commissioners Court selected BPB as the partnering service provider for the Colonia Praxedis Saldivar Central Estates Wastewater Improvements Project.
Marie, just a quick comment. Could you tell us the location of this Colonia?
Yes, sir. As part of the board package, you'll see a location map. Basically, this area is just north of FM 802 off of Central Avenue.
Right.
And to the north, you'll be bounded by Morrison Road. So there's an area of off of Central Avenue, which was once out in the county. There's a Michelle Road. So that area basically got trapped in the center, surrounded by development and annexations of the city. And those two streets and that center Michelle Road still don't have a sewer connection.
Yeah, and I did see the map. I just wanted the public to hear that, the location, so they'll get an idea of where this project's going to be being targeted for. Thank you.
Yes.
Anything else on this item?
I need to read the recommended action. Yeah.
Yeah, but just on the timeline, can you go into that a little bit more in terms of when do you expect grant funding and construction to begin and to be completed, or is that too premature?
Yes, sir. The actual deadline for submission of this application is on August 30th. And as a matter of fact, tomorrow, the county will be proceeding and approving, just as we are tonight, on the resolution between BPUB and the county. And after submittal from August 30th, I think our grants department can tell us when they're expected to get answers. But I'm anticipating construction would definitely not go into effect until sometime 2025.
Hello, good evening, members of the board. My name is Conrad Taylor. I'm the Senior Grants Coordinator for Brownsville PUB. And we haven't received an anticipated award date for this particular grant, but we are anticipating anywhere from a 6-month to a year lead time for a possible award.
Are we
And
cautiously optimistic that this grant is going to go?
well, out of the projects that the county had ranked and submitted, this project was ranked number 1. So we're confident that we have a very high possibility of receiving the $1 million.
So if we don't get this, we should blame the lead grants writer?
Well,
Most likely. No. Any other questions?
Yeah, just from the project itself, so this would be replacing the septic tanks with what we would call standard wastewater services for that area.
That is correct.
And they would have to stop using the septic tanks.
That is correct. They have to be decommissioned. And I believe this grant also includes payment for the decommission and removal of septic systems.
So, one important detail, and yeah, I think this is a great thing to be doing. But because this was done, 30, 40 years ago, these developers managed to basically give the ratepayers, the taxpayers, Texas, this bill of about $80,000 per household, to fix the problem because they didn't do it right the first time.
Let's see. Okay, thank you for that comment. Anything else, Mr. Cowan, Mayor, anything on this item? Okay, Marie, what's the recommended action?
BPB staff recommends approval to submit the BPB grant application to TDA Texas Community Block Grant 2024 Colonia Fund Construction Project, and if selected for a grant, to authorize the general manager and chief executive officer to accept the grant, endorse, commit matching funds, and enter into an agreement with TDA and/or Cameron County for purpose of carrying out the project.
Okay, we have a recommended action by administration. I'll entertain motions, or
I will move to approve.
we have a motion to approve by Dr. Holman
Second.
and second by Dr. Samoda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? This motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Diaz. Okay, how you doing, sir? Now we have an item being presented by Mr. Alvarez. Consideration and possible action for proposed award for vegetation management services.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. My name is Eli Alvarez. I'm the Director of Electric Ops. I'll be presenting the vegetation management board agenda item. So vegetation management services are required to maintain our overhead lines, clear obstructions, eliminate, minimize vegetation-related outages caused by brush, palm fronds, tree branches. BPUB does not maintain staffing and specialized equipment to perform this service and has opted to contract this service to a third-party provider. So the procurement information is next on the body. And BPUB evaluated those proposals that were submitted and based on the advertised selection criteria and ranked Asplund Tree Expert LLC from Corpus Christi as the highest rated contractor responsive to this solicitation. So the term of the contract will be for 1 year with 4 additional years if services are satisfactory. The contract will also feature a cost per job completed versus the hourly structure that we currently have right now. And we will also, the contract will also feature a arborist that will be available to us to come up with our 5-year maintenance plan on our circuits so that they would be able to help us and be more efficient with that. In addition, all these efforts will go towards mitigating the wildfire mitigation that is right now, it's in everybody's, there's a lot of discussion on that. So we're going to be assisting ourselves with getting some help with that and coming up with some mitigation plans for that. So since the contract will be primarily job order completion based, the selected contractor will be paid for the work completed that is easily quantifiable versus the other structure where it was very difficult to come up with KPIs. So the way we've structured this is the KPIs are built in, and basically anytime the public would like, a breakdown of that, we can provide that information to them. So are there any questions?
Any questions? It's a $1.7 million contract. That doesn't mean that we're going to exhaust $1.7 million throughout the year.
That's
That's
correct.
correct.
What we had to do is that there's going to be some instances where the service requests will not apply. And in those cases, we're looking at maybe 10 to 15% of those cases will have an hourly structure.
Okay.
And so we needed to include that within the contract so that we can be ready for whatever is thrown our way.
Makes sense. Anything else?
Can I ask how much was our current contract costing us?
It was a little less than $800,000
per year?
per year, yes, ma'am. We haven't spent any more than that, but this past year it was a little bit less than 800,000.
And, maybe you just said it, but how much do you expect for this contract to be?
Right now, we've set aside that amount, 800,000, for the clearing of our circuits, which is 80 miles. And then an additional, I believe it was 1,000 service requests that we're looking at. So I think we have allocated around 800,000 for that. We've estimated that much for that.
The extra plus up, the do not exceed amount, that's to handle the emergencies.
Correct.
Okay. And can you describe I don't know, you can describe how this company was better than others that you rated?
Yeah, absolutely. They're essentially more responsive. So all the criteria that we had, which was the safety aspect, the quality of performance on previous work, and the compliance with the requirements of the solicitation itself, they outranked the other respondents. And so we also have history with them. We worked with them in the past, not in the more recent past, but maybe 10 years ago, we were using Asplundh for it was called tree trimming services prior. Now we're renaming it to vegetation management. But yeah, they were our primary contractor with respect to that.
And these folks are used by other utility companies
Yes, sir.
throughout South Texas, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct. They have, I think they have current contracts with, here locally, they have it with AEP.
Okay, any other questions before? Somebody still,
They have really bad online reviews,
oh, really?
but I do trust the process that you used, and if this is the best of the 6 vendors that responded, I mean, we do have to go with somebody.
Well, and we could say, hey, our job is to make sure we check in maybe in 6 months and verify our people are happy with them. They're doing what they're supposed to be. And we can go from there.
We absolutely can do that, yes.
Yeah, there's no signed contract as of now.
I like that.
Okay. So just put on your calendar 6 months from now, somebody do the math on that.
Yeah, I would say that the contract should have some kind of terms, obviously, for us to be able to get out of it should we need to.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're not performing, they should.
Yeah, it does have that.
Thank you.
And then maybe just thinking ahead, as far as their capacity. I mean, I don't know if this is possible, but should we run into any natural disasters, that maybe PUB can get priority, above AEP, something like that,
Right now,
There's a way for us to do that.
yeah, it's in the contract, but right now what we've had, what we're looking forward to is having 5 2-man crews assigned to us. So what we normally deal with. But if we wanted anything more than that, then we'd have to address it in the contract and
I mean, I wouldn't know a number. I'm just saying, I know that every minute, every hour counts, when we are down, when there's power outages.
Absolutely.
I know there's a lot of customers. We see it online, obviously, but yeah, if whatever you guys would recommend, just to see if there's a way for us to get priority or some level, service agreement level as far as time response, that would be probably good.
we'll definitely look into that, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Oliver, do you have a recommended action for the
Yes.
board to consider?
Yes, I do, but I moved my page, so
Okay, one, I
So-
do too.
BPUB staff recommends approval of proposal award for vegetation management service to Asplundh Tree Expert LLC from Corpus Christi, Texas, for a total amount to not exceed $1,731,654.01.
Okay, we have a recommendation by administration on this item. Do I have a motion?
A motion to approve?
Have a motion by Mr. Martinez to approve,
I'll second that.
second by Dr. Holman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? This motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Alvarez, for your
Thank you, sir.
presentation.
Thank you.
That's the last item under individual consideration. Before we go into close the meeting, let me read the items that we may be considering. Number one, meeting with board legal counsel for advice about contemplated and pending court and administrative litigation and on matters in which the duty of the attorney under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct conflict with chapter 551, section 551.071, including but not limited to the following: reports of local and special counsel, discussion and consultation with board counsel regarding legal issues pertaining to PTX, fiber project installation repairs, negotiations to extend facilities to potential customer within the Port of Brownsville, ongoing negotiations related to the presentation and discussion and possible recommendation of information upon pricing of purchase power, generation, and fuel and their impact on the fuel purchase, energy, and marketing charge, section 551.086. The third item, consideration and possible action on natural gas transportation proposal from Texas Gas Service for delivery to the Silas Ray Power Plant, and authorizing the general manager and chief executive officer to negotiate and execute a definitive contract under section 551.086. Those are the three items that we will be reviewing in closed session. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Motion to move into closed session?
We have a motion by Mr. Martinez.
I'll second it.
Dr. Holman seconds that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? We're now moving into closed session. What time do we have? Okay.
Go to the chair. Do we have the? We share the screen, so we have Cody Falk on there.
Cody, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
And I think Rosie comes off, right? I just want
believe that's the second.
to, okay, thank you. Oh, you have them up there? I figured. You're so mad. Oh, I love you.
I want to hear from Dr. Someone on that, three-star rating.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, guys.
Oh, he was. He's gonna put it in front of the camera right there and just gotta like.
I do that.
There's gonna be.
I'll drive around town with my water in a koozie and people will be looking at me. But yeah.
All right, Daisy, how did you do that so fast?
What?
Rating on the,
You got it? No,
You know, I was waiting for Juan to like.
Note you leaving here at 7:15. Oh, you're gonna go out there after all? You're gonna stay after all?
No, I just wanted to make sure there was.
Oh, okay. For him? Okay. Is Stacy still there?
Yeah, I think she's there already.
Oh, okay. See ya.
we ready to go? Okay, it is 7:16. We are back from a closed session. We have one item up for consideration. Marilyn, Juan, you going to read that item for us, please?
Yes.
Just for the record in the minutes, member Gerardo Martinez left the meeting at 7:15 at the conclusion of the closed session. And the only action item for this evening from closed is item number 3 from closed session, consideration possible action on a natural gas transportation proposal from Texas Gas Service to the Silas Ray Power Plant, and authorizing the general manager and chief executive officer to negotiate and execute a definitive contract
pursuant to section 551.086. The recommended action, you want me to read that or either way?
So this time, the recommended action is PUB staff recommends the board approval to authorize the general manager and chief executive officer to complete negotiations and execute a natural gas transportation agreement with Texas Gas Services for 2-year period under the terms substantially similar to those of the presented herein.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gilbert. We have a recommended action by administration. Any discussion or comments on this item, or if not, I'll have, take motions to,
I'll move to approve the motion.
Dr. Holman move to approve the motion. A second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Cowan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? This motion passes unanimously. We have a consideration action on future agenda items, discussion and or request for future agenda items. Any comments or,
I do have one request. If we could have a little bit of a discussion on potential cybersecurity related to information that we may use with ChatGPT or other open source kind of software or web-based programs and the implications of, that both for us and then also our staff.
We will consider and add that to the next agenda.
all right, Dr. Samota?
I think it would be really nice to see a whole update on the drought activities, like current activities and planned activities, what we are doing to take this on and our short-term and long-term planning for it. I know that you have presented this before, but in this forum, we have not seen everything, so it would be nice.
Will do. We'll include that and also include, I just attended the Region N board and I will include that. And we're in the process of reviewing all the activities that are there and the PB plans to be included into the Region N planning.
Great, thank you.
Okay, then we noted 2 items for future that Ms. Gilbert has taken notice of. I will now accept a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I make a motion?
Yeah, motion by Dr. Samota. Any seconds? Okay. We have a second by Mr. Vidal. All those in favor of adjourning this meeting, say aye.
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 All those against? All right, this meeting's adjourned.